Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello out there.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Hope you can hear us and see us clearly. I'm getting rid of all of our banners here. Good evening to you. I'm running around like a chicken without a head right now. Let's see who's here. And for those of you who don't know, we are the Sawyers, and this is Cornerstone.
Yep.
And welcome.
Yep.
Let's see who's here. All right. Sissy and brother-in-law here. Hello, you guys. Hope you had a good day at work today.
Brother and sister Law, I enjoy having y'all down here with us the other day.
Hey,
We
burn down here.
we enjoyed your stay. I wish you would come again.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Linda Langdon.
Linda Lee. Good to see y'all. Good
I've
to
been
have
running
you.
around. Forgive me. Hey, Dee Dee and George.
George and Junior.
Hey, Pastor Norman. Hey,
Norman
Sandra.
J. Johnson. John Greason.
Yeah, John Grease is in the house. Thank you guys for letting me know you can hear us and see us. All right. What y'all been doing today? Well, we've been kind of busy all day, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been busy with your project, and I've been
Yeah,
busy with
yeah, I
mine.
have. Just a
Yeah,
little bit. I wasn't gonna do anything, but I had to get something done, so I did.
yeah. Well, baby girl's down here waiting for a piece of chicken, which is her treats now. Those boiled chicken is her treats.
I didn't finish getting all my nap out today, so I'm gonna wake up in just a second.
Neither one of us got a nap today. You feel like you need one?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, okay. Well, let's do our prayer, affirmation, meditation, whatever you want to call it. We're going to do that right now and center ourselves in. Let's see what I want to do here so I can see better. All right. Take a deep breath in and now release it. Let all your concerns go, let all your frustrations go, all of your preferences and aspirations, let everything go right now. None of it really matters. None of that really matters. You can pick it up later if you want, but let's lay aside everything that's causing you to be disturbed or uncomfortable or whatever. Let's just leave it outside for a while and come into a place of stillness. You can repeat this after me, or you can simply listen, whichever is best for you. And it's called Embodying the Light. This is about our embodiment of all the truth that we have discovered. From this place of calm, I see my God self. I see a new image of myself in the world. My focus is on the God essence within me, and I follow its guidance. I trust myself. The self that I am is strong. The self that I am is courageous and wise. I carry this sense of knowing with me into the world. Because I
Excuse me.
bless you. Because I trust and focus on the God self within, I am creating on the outside a world that is harmonious, a world that is beneficial to myself and others. I'm having deeper relationships. I'm learning how to deal with people. I am managing my money. Allowing and attracting my good to manifest. I am building a career that serves others. I am taking good care of my body and everything else around me. I am able to be in the world and enjoy myself, yet keep my commitment to the God essence within. This commitment is reflected in the light and power that I feel. I am that light of the world. And so it is. And so it is. Now, you are way out of the picture today. I'm not sure why, but let's see what we can do about that.
Adjust your screen, your cameras.
Well, my camera is in the same place. I just need to get you in here somehow or another. You're fine. You're fine. Let me see what I have to do. Let's see what we can. Okay. Let's see if that works. Well, not a whole lot better, but anyway, you guys can see our heads, I am sure. All right. What do you got on your plate today? Anything?
Yeah, I'm still talking about the secret of power with God.
Yes. Yes.
Beyond fasting, praying, seeking, reading, preaching, jumping, running, stepping, dancing,
Hmm.
beyond crying and travailing. The package deal is true identity.
Yes.
It must be settled beyond the crippled state of the mind in the earth, that you're beyond accidents, you're beyond forces that can stop you.
Yeah.
It said that the Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way before his works of old. I was set up from the everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there was no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest parts of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. We were there.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the physical, we were there. The left brain can't understand that unless it has been submitted to the right eternal essence. When he set a compass upon the face, a compass, I broke it into syllables. Compass upon the face of the depth. When he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountain or straightened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him.
Mm-hmm.
As one brought up with him, I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable parts of his earth. And my delights were with the sons of men. Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. her instructions, her instructions, and be wise and refuse it
Hear
not.
instructions.
Yeah, I said here, yeah. Hear instructions and be wise and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my door. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death.
Mm.
That is a statement that could not be unfolded to us when we started out. And then there were the older elders that would say that was talking about Jesus.
It's talking about wisdom,
It's
actually.
wisdom, but
Hmm.
it's really talking about all of us. When I looked at the news today, I glanced at pieces of it. There's so much storms and hate and fight, bitter war, killings, shooting in school, children, parents. These things are really rampant in this season. We can preach all over the world the peace of God. But let me tell you something, sweetheart. The only thing that will stop it will be the sign of the Son of the coming of man into his true identity. And that may not be. There's thousands that will not come home to this. And we cannot make them. We can only settle for what we have. So a little bit burdened today about it because it's so many things going on around us. And my wife and I are at a point in this life where things have changed and are constantly changing, and we're having to change with it because it is a sign after the age that we are, and many others, that is is leaving home. It's leaving this place we call home and going to the real home of our true identity. So we are in this place where God is observing in, playing all bases and watching all things. I looked at the floods. The waters have increased in the land. Floods everywhere, eruptions and mountains. When we were little, it was something going on, but we didn't know much about it like we do now. But there is people in churches are praying, screaming and hollering, casting out devils and binding and loosing, and they're still unhappy. I met a man yesterday, day from yesterday, who is a contractor on houses, putting roofs on houses. He told me, he said he had given away, I don't know, untold number of roofs to people because the money that he was making, if he didn't do something with it, he would be taxed for it. So instead
Of
of being
course.
taxed for it, he decided to use that money to help people.
Yes.
And he walked up to my Jeep
But
and
and at the same time that that's done, the motive it still isn't love.
no, that's true.
The motive is still not love, even though
It's about
to
him.
help other people is good, but
Hmm.
it's the motive is still not love.
So I had a man to come today and look at some of the toys I had in my garage, and I showed him the guitars that I had and collected. And he said he has his father or his brother always wanted a certain kind of guitar. It's called a cigar box guitar. And several maybe years ago, I had one made and designed,
Mm-hmm.
and I still have it.
Yeah.
And the first thing I told him going out the door was, "Your dad or your brother has now received a cigar box guitar." He said he'd always wanted one, but I said I got one. He said, "Oh, I don't want you to give away your guitar." You know, excuse me. There's some people don't know how to say thank you and receive.
Mhm.
I said, you tell your dad that he now have a single box guitar. And I told him as soon as you get back from your trip, if you're willing to box it up and address it, send it to him. I give it to him as a love gift. He didn't want to do that because some people uh, work on good jobs. He's an engineer for.
Well,
Uh,
they think you they when a lot of times people, when you offer to help or give like that, a
mhm.
lot of them think you see them as a charity case,
Yeah,
and that's not
no,
necessarily true. It's not the way it is at all. But I wanted to mention, um, just because of we had a wonderful conversation yesterday with a young lady, but in the conversation with her, I came to a conclusion about. Uh, some of the things that she shared, I won't show her,
yeah,
tell all the
I understand.
details, but there are people that are in her life, and we have seen those people who have studied all types of spiritual information. They've heard different spiritual teachers. They've read all kinds of spiritual texts, uh, to the point that, um, there are some who have accumulated so much knowledge, even this spiritual truth of who we are, and not being lost in the mind, and all of those things that we talk about, this world being an illusion or a dream, the things that we talked about as oneness, and all of those things that we have talked about. But none of those things were helpful
Yeah,
at the moment of a crisis.
hmm
Not that they're not beneficial. It's not that the truth isn't beneficial, but it wasn't at that point, for because, and I remember James Dixon used this term,
hmm
the mind hijacked
yeah, oh
the
yeah,
truth, or the ego hijacks
hmm
the truth. And once that happens, when a person is in a crisis,
hmm
they tend to take that truth, or search for truth, or use the truth they've accumulated and remembered with their
hmm
minds, um, to try to get relief, or to try
hmm
to get answers, or to try to get clarity. And all it does is make you more lost in the mind, and you're lost in spiritual information.
yeah,
And so it made me go back to the fact that there's a downside to learning all of this, and hearing all of this, and gaining all the different viewpoints from spiritual teachers. And there's a downside to it, and that is the ego, in search of empowerment, will use it, and then the being will not still know who they are.
mm,
And the ego then can take that same information and wound other people with it, and harm other people, by being very arrogant, or being very elusive.
yeah,
And so there's a balance, there's a need for balance in this spiritual journey. There's a need for balance in this spiritual journey.
yeah,
Um, and I don't know. I just wanted to mention that because I'm noticing a lot of people who have, and I won't say a lot of people, but there have been people that I've run into who are lost in the spiritual information, because it's still just mentation. It's still just a mental assent. It's still conceptual. It hasn't become experiential. Um, let me know what you think about what I just said. Just let me know what you think, because it's a place that I'm a little perplexed by when I see it. These are people who are studious, who are serious spiritual seekers, serious students of sacred texts, of uh, this journey of oneness, this journey of no self, this journey of no mind, uh, serious students of it, but then they're so lost and not able to be human,
Mhm.
seeking to be so divine that they've lost their own humanity in this spiritual information. Does that make sense
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah, I
trying to
understand what
say?
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When we were in the brick and mortar, there was a sense of importance. There was a sense of identity being in the mainstream of being a pastor with a congregation and with people, a certain big crowd.
Hmm.
And people would ask me, said, "How many do you have?" I say 500. Then they say, "Oh, we just went up to 2,000." And
There was always the
always
competition.
a competition.
Hmm.
And to find out what that competition is foolishness.
Well, and then too, the competition, it was always used as a measuring stick to say whether God was approval,
Yeah.
if you had God's
Yeah.
approval or not, or even more simply, God's blessing upon you, or
And
God's hand upon
yeah.
you. Yeah.
And somebody asked the question, "Why did he choose you?" I could have turned around and asked him, "Why did he choose you?" And I don't
Well,
think
there are a
they.
lot of cases I wonder why he did not choose me.
Yeah. What I mean, my brother told me, said when he saw my wife at the first time, said, "How did you get somebody like that?" I said, "Well, what the ham sandwich wrong with me?" But that is something that we both have combated in our whole duration of time here.
But talk back at me. I want to know if you did understand what I said, what you think about what I said, because it's important that we know this truth of ourselves and of oneness and all of this. But there's so many. There's so much. There's a gap in knowing it and experiencing it to the point without the ego, without an ego interfering with it.
Jesus' Father was our Father. Our Father is His Father. And that Father state is the highest of all energy beings that we all originated from
What?
in
Yeah,
our
yeah,
essence.
yeah, yeah. Here we go. And I don't know who you are, but thank you, man of the universe. Now, that's the first time I've seen you on here. Thank you for
Yeah,
tuning in.
yeah.
He says, or she says, using the non dual teaching to invalidate feelings.
Okay,
The body, the world is not enlightenment,
okay.
such as saying there is no separate self to feel depressed or anxious. Feelings are valid. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
thank
very
you.
much. That's very well said. And that's exactly what I mean. I'm noticing that some have used this information, this spiritual discoveries, to actually not validate their feelings or anyone else's.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
One of the first things that I noticed about Jesus when I saw him was be in touch with the feeling of our infirmity.
Yes.
Another thing I remember about him in that incident is that I saw him get up and walk around the table and come over to me on my left side. I saw him and he touched me right here on my shoulder. I felt his touch right there.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as I did that, I could understand what he was telling me that what was going to happen to my shoulders
Oh,
futurely.
okay.
What I like about him that he's unchangeable. He's always the same. Every time I see him, he looks at me the same way. He looks at me like he's looking at everybody in the universe. I told somebody, and I like to tell people this, that every color of eyes in the body in the universe is his eyes. His eyes are that color. Some people see him with blue, see him with brown.
Because he's all of us.
He is all of
He
us.
is all of us. Yes.
I don't know anything else to say in our classes than what we've said to you. Somewhere down the line, you'll have a moment of aha,
Yes.
and you'll say,
Yes.
"Oh my goodness."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had a few young ministers that I mentored over the years, and I was thinking that they would be honorable in the end to come back and say thank you. And I can remember back when the lepers were cleansed by our essence in the book. Didn't but one come back.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of them that I mentored left because they wanted to prove that they did not have to be around us to make it, which they didn't. But there was
He
the
really
air
didn't.
of
Right.
arrogance about them.
And I think that's what I'm sensing.
Yeah,
Uh, as Man of the Universe says, there is the need to still by the ego to feel special, so it uses even that non-dual message to do that.
yeah,
It uses everything to do that. Even being mistreated,
yeah.
because being mistreated makes the ego special as well. It feels it's special because it's victimized.
Yes.
uh, so I long for, and I don't want to say it like that, but the the need to be free from the ego is more important than just having an aha for
Hmm.
the sake of
Hmm.
experience
Hmm.
of bliss or joy or peace, or coming to a place of being. And I think that Jesus was the best example for, because that's our guru. Our
Yeah.
allegiance is still to Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. um, the best example of what it means to be a fully awake human.
Some people say, I don't believe in Jesus. He was just a prophet, just a
Mm-hmm,
man.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Let me look at it like this. Every one of the teachers and the sages over the years, every one of them, whether he's a man or a woman. So what's the big deal?
Right.
They all are men and women who woke up, and so they are all equal. I don't care if they
Yes.
what religion or what mentor them. We all need to go back to the heart of love and forget about this competition about whether Jesus was real or not.
Well, yes, and dropping all of that.
Yeah.
Now, Man of the Universe is coming back again, and I don't know who you are, but thank you for your comments. He says, in the Conversations with God, that book by Neil Donald
Yeah.
Walsh,
Yeah.
it says the purpose of life is to experience what we are. We can have an idea about ourselves as being kind or generous, but until we do something kind, it is just an idea.
Now you're
Yeah,
talking.
yes, and this is what I've found out, Man of the Universe.
Talk to me.
You don't, when you're really kind, you don't know it.
No?
When you're really loving, you don't know it. When you're really humble, you don't know it. To know that you're humble is pride.
Mm-hmm.
To know that you're loving
Mm-hmm.
is pride. It's like we must embody all of this and be this, not not so much just do this, but be this. And there's no way to do that with the mind. There's no way to do that.
Jesus' heart, when I saw it, was the heart of a broken man. And yet, in that brokenness, there was a strength that caused him to appear to us.
Yeah.
How many times have I seen him?
And we needed it.
Yeah, we
It,
did.
he appeared to us because we needed it.
Yeah, we sure
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And there's never a time without which I have seen him, and I keep seeing him. But what's so crazy about this thing? I see him in mean people.
You see him when you don't want to see him.
Oh, Oh, I
Exactly.
mean,
It's
I
him when
see
you don't
him.
want to
I
see him.
see Jesus in men and women who are absolutely ridiculous in the left brain. And he showed me. He said to me, "I'll let you see me, but are you ready?" Now, whenever God says, "Are you ready?" You know what He's doing? He said,
Hmm.
"I am your
Hmm.
readiness."
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
found one of the most amazing statements that He made to me in person. You, I will be you doing these things,
Yes. Yes.
and you will not
Yes.
be responsible
Yes.
to carry out the hardest degree of love. And I come out of the restroom the other day, and he said, "The love that he is the same love that he is in all of us.
Yes.
It's covered up by dirt and set and ego. But he said the love that he is in every man, whether
Yes.
they accept it or not. That
Yes.
is something the special groups don't want to hear. They special groups wants to hear it the way they say it, the way they want it, and it's beyond special groups.
And we'll say this again. This is what love is. Love is the collapse of the sense of separation. Love is the desire to remove the gap. Love is the desire to be one and not two. Love can never be demanding, but instead sets one free. Love has no self interest and is never concerned with winning. Winning is not in the vocabulary of
That's
love.
right.
Love has no reason to love, it just is. Love desires nothing from the other. Needing to be right is not the language of love. Love holds no position to argue, and love cannot be threatened. Not like what Pastor Norman says, what many don't understand, trying to be special causes much loss.
Yeah,
And it also causes much harm and not really knowing that they've harmed other people through their attitudes and their own self-serving uh, strategies. So yes, you're right, Pastor Norman. That is exactly true.
I hear the words. Jesus is my doctor.
He
He brings me
writes all
all
my
of my medicine in my room. My ears are stopped up. I can't
yeah.
say it like I want to.
You can't say it like you want to.
Yeah, I feel like I'm stuffed in my ears.
You sing it to yourself.
Yeah,
Okay, man of the universe is chiming in again. He says, I think the purpose of life is to merge truth with illusion, not escape the illusion, to bring the understanding of true self and emptiness or non duality to the world and make it a better place. Yes, and we have come to full circle in our lives to not trying to escape this that we are, not trying to escape this that we call an illusion, but learning to be very present in it.
I heard it said years ago. Do everything in word and deed in Jesus' name.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
50 years, I finally realized what that really meant.
What does it mean to you?
There's a lot of Jesus and a lot of people that name is Jesus. And I kept wondering why you can say that name and don't anything happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was revealed to us from within to say the name and to be the name
Mm-hmm,
is totally different.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mental assent was said and write it on paper. But if you are the essence of that name, there's not very much said but done.
Yeah, and then in our life walk, I'll call our life walk, our story, this hero's journey that we've been in on has there have been what I call impartation lessons or lessons that have been imparted to us through the spiritual experiences that we've had. When we say we are one with Christ or one with God, we're not saying it because I read it somewhere or because we heard it somewhere, but because of the actual spiritual experience that opened our eyes and opened our hearts to understand, and opened our minds to understand and know. So when we teach things, majority of 99% of the time, it's because we've had some spiritual experience that has opened us up to see it. And so we realize that when people hear the non-dual teachings, or they hear these truths about oneness and all of that, a lot of them, they embrace it because it resonates with them. But that still is not, it's truth, but it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm finding that there's a need. And like you said, somebody asked you, well, why did he pick you? I don't know why we were picked.
Why did he pick all of us?
Exactly. But I don't know why we were picked to see Jesus Christ. I don't know. And seeing Jesus Christ has led us to where we are now.
I can
And
say this.
okay,
Go ahead.
Go ahead and say it.
I can say this. If you ever get a glimpse of him, I mean, really get a glimpse of the love that he is in all men, that will plague you with one of the biggest burdens. And I say big, and I think that's not adequate word to say how massive, beyond the word that is, that Jesus is. If you look at him in person and look at every scripture in the Bible and read it to him, it's nothing like him taking the zipper of his soul and zipping it down and letting you step inside of him and experience
Yeah.
his his
Yeah.
hisness,
Yeah.
his beingness.
And I like to say it like this too. It's like Jesus Christ left the pages of a book,
Oh, there you go.
left the mouths of preachers,
Yes.
and entered into our psyche,
Yeah.
entered into our very psyche. And I don't know any other way to explain that except that when seeing Jesus Christ, we actually saw ourselves.
Yeah.
And know who we are based on that, not based on something we've read or studied or heard. Um, and I'm not crashing on anybody that has gotten that understanding from studying and hearing. I'm not, but I do know that there can still be a gap a, of of knowing when there is no experience of it.
I felt the travailings of the Jeremiah prophetic office. I felt the brokenness of his heart. And I'm going to tell you something. When he put his heart inside of me that morning, I can look back and see it tore my emotions all to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
I was going
Yeah.
to explode. I rolled up
Mm.
from my house up the street.
Yeah.
I thought I could
You
contain
were
it.
literally exploding. You really were
Oh,
at that point. From your seeing, just from the seeing, you had completely lost almost control of your
I did.
control of your
I
body
did.
and everything because of what you saw and what was reality to you at that moment.
I come up.
That Christ
Yeah,
was not distant from you,
and I didn't know that he was inside of me.
and actually was you. And
I didn't know it.
that was the biggest thing for me, was when it was discovered. There was no I to discover, but that when it was discovered that Christ is me, that was the biggest. It was terrifying,
Yes, it
terrifying
was.
and exciting at the same time.
I looked at the houses I looked at the street corner where before this happened to me, the boys would be standing out on the street. The street was completely empty. I was going to my wife's house to pick her up to go to a apostolic church where we started with her grandfather and grandmother who was then living. When I got in that church, I didn't know anything about the presence of God, but it was so strong on me. Lord have mercy. I couldn't sit still. I was jumping up and down. It was so real. Oh, it was so real. That presence came on me one time when I was in high school when they had a symphony orchestra playing
I
music.
remember you telling me that.
And I almost jumped up in the middle of the auditorium and started screaming. Yes, yes, yes. I didn't know that was God.
That was God.
But if I had done it out of place, they would have locked me up.
Yeah, they would have. The Linda says, what you do to another, you truly do to yourself. And once you really understand that, things change in your behavior. Yes, it does,
This
Linda.
little
It's
girl.
so true. So true.
Every-
And I don't want to make it sound like we have something special that you got or you may not have experienced. I don't want to make it sound like that. But I do want to say that it's more than study. It's more than going to a retreat and hearing something. It's more than listening to a spiritual teacher, even listening to us. It's more than that. It has to go beyond that, doesn't it?
Always when we get into a certain part of the class, baby girl always get up and come over here.
Well, it's when she finishes her treats.
Yeah, she comes over
She says, "Okay, I'm done."
But you know what? I see the life in her. I look in her eyes and I talk to God in her eyes. I talk to God in everything. I look at him and I said, I see you.
Baby girl's ruined.
I
She's ruined.
see you.
She's ruined.
I see
She's
you.
and she knows who to go to because I won't pet her while we're on the live stream.
And when we's in bed, she sleeps at the foot, and sometimes she'll sleep close to us. And I often tell her, "I see you. I see you."
She's riding. Okay.
But I want to thank you guys out there for the universal consciousness that you have agreed to speak in your everyday life. Your words are comfort. Even if you don't do anything but say good morning,
yes.
If you don't say anything but just look at somebody,
yes.
There is a working of God in all of you online with us now. And I had one of the biggest prayer notions the last 2 days for all of y'all, and the angels of your presence has been praying through me about every one of you out there seeing the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Increase your awareness.
Yes,
My heart's desire is that every one of you will have such a marvelous experience of seeing him the way he really is, beyond the last time you saw him and the time before then. Before the foundations of the world, you stood there with him. I want this thing to be so exploded in all of you. I'm not telling how to do it. Just do it. Let everybody that hears the sound of my voice begin to experience the life manifested tangibleness of the presence of Christ in every part of their life. And some of them are going through John Greason and some of the others out there. My heart's desire is that every one of you that's listening to me, I see your spirit knees bending and shaking at the humility of God inside of you. I see the grace of God going through your body and your mind. I see the ones of you who have had loved ones on the other side. They also abound with intercessory prayer and words of encouragement to you. You are working the works of God in this moment that nobody else can. And you on the stage right now, and you on the verge right now of expressing Jesus Christ in every step you make. You
Mhm.
are doing that.
Mhm.
And I want you to know that God is a yea and an amen to every one of your eyes and your vision. May your eyes be open to see. May your ears be open to hear. I tell people now, I see with my ears and hear with my eyes.
Yes. Yes.
Take a
Yes.
step into the glorious knowing beyond reasoning that you are actually one with the Son of God. And it has nothing to do with who your mentor is, who your religious icon is, who your religious leader. You believe in this and you don't believe in that, and you may be a Baptist. I said, like you said, that ain't worth a fat baby's butt.
Mhm.
You are actually the manifestation of love.
Yes. Yes. I want to
That's
read.
it.
I want to read these last two scriptures, and they're not. They're familiar passages, but I just want to read them because when we had the privilege of seeing Jesus Christ and knowing from his appearing who he is and who we are, because it cleared all of that up.
Mm-hmm.
These scriptures mention that, and they verify that. So I just want to read it because of it. This is in 1 John 3 and 2. Those of you who are Bible scholars, you know about it already. It says in the first verse, "Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God.
Yeah.
Therefore, the world knows us not because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, this is the thing, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." So when we see him as he is, we're immediately like him because he becomes us. He is us. And then there's the other one in Colossians 3, where it says, in the third verse of Colossians 3, "You are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall you also appear with him in glory." Sounds like there can't be any separation between us and Christ.
That's right.
And when he appears, it is our appearing.
Men and women of God, that's what all of you are. I don't care what you believe in. If you don't believe what they say, they don't care. They just, all I want to say to you is God is in you.
Yes.
I don't care whether you believe in Methodist, Catholic, or what.
God is in you and God be
is in
you.
you.
God be
He
you.
be all
You
of
don't
you.
be him, but he be you.
That is, to me, that is wonderful. Don't have to look for him anymore.
No.
When I see
No.
your name,
No.
that's his name.
Mhm.
When I see your face,
Mhm.
I see his face.
Mhm.
I don't want to see it no other way. I want to see you. When I see you
Mhm.
walking toward me or me toward you, we'll see in the second coming of Jesus Christ.
That's it. His appearing is our appearing.
Come on, somebody jump up and down with this thing because it is absolutely
It
wonderful.
is wonderful. It is wonderful.
That song said, God works in wonders. Don't wonder about him. You take one step, he'll take two.
That ain't
Don't.
what it said.
Well, it said something like that. Well, you start messing with my music.
You'll make up a song in a
God
minute.
works in wonders. Don't wonder about him. Hey, you're going to take a step in a minute. And when you do, you're going to watch Jesus move through your body.
Linda says we are the same self with an individual.
Look out, girl.
With an individual
I'm going to tell
perspective.
the boss man to
Yes,
give you a raise.
that is true, Linda. That is
That's
so
true.
true. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I am so grateful for all of you guys who commented, and even those of you who did not, who were listening. And I know you out there listening. Some of you don't say anything, but you're listening and you're
Yes,
hearing.
you are.
And
I knew a young man came on there. What's his
Hmm?
Universe?
Man of the Universe.
Universe. That's a good one. I like
I
that.
like that. I like
We
that
might
handle.
know you, but you just use a different name. But
I
we
like
might
that
know
handle. I do.
I'm glad to meet you, sir, ma'am, whoever you are. I'm glad to meet you.
Now, do this for me. Hit the like button. And if you have not subscribed already on YouTube, do that for me. It will significantly help us with the so-called algorithm, which is just some kind of mechanism that they use for to rate whether or not your videos are relevant. And if they think it's relevant enough, they see enough likes on it, they push you all the way up to the top. So when people look for content that you're talking about, they'll find you real quick. So we need you to hit the like button, okay?
Okay.
We appreciate that, and we thank you so much for supporting the broadcast. Thank you guys for those of you who sent in cash apps on Sunday.
Thank you for the gifts.
Thank you for that, and for those of you who've been sending into Cornerstone,
yes,
your tithes and your offerings on a regular basis. Thank you, thank you, thank you for continuing to do that.
You guys are miracle workers.
And we will be back again on Thursday. Hopefully, Pastor Norman will be free to be with us on Impromptu for our wonderful conversation we have every Thursday at 12:30 in the
Looking forward to seeing your name on the screen.
Yeah, I know a lot of people can't make that midday session, but it is still good. It's good. So if you can't make it, at least go back and look at it. And other than that, we'll be back on Sunday at 10.
It sure will.
Live and in color.
Sure, you got britches on.
Live and in color. And if you have the wherewithal right now, I want you to go ahead and send in your offerings. And
please do. Please help us financially.
Yes,
if you would, please.
Yes, yes. And so you guys know how to do that. You can text it to CLC Greensboro to 73256. Or you can go to the website and just hit the donate button. It'll go right on in there. And then the paypal.me/cornerstone35 is another way you can do it. For those who are old school or those who just don't want to use social media, you can mail it in to P.O. Box 36259, Greensboro, North Carolina, 27416. Even if you have something that you want to send to Pastor and myself, you can mail it in. Laverne will make sure she picks that up from that post office box and get it to us. Other than that, you can send us a cash app by $A Sawyer C, or you can use paypal.me/ACE Sawyer 72. And I've got to fix it where you guys can send in from Zelle as well. I know some people like to use Zelle. So anyway, we love you guys. We'll see you again next time.
Hold on to God's unchanging hand. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.